So what could I do now with this 3 dimension that I just created before? Because I'm a creator, right? What could I do with it? So what did I just do with this stone? I accelerated this stone, but only for a short amount, because it's lying there on the street now. It's not moving anymore. It lost the acceleration. My idea, you accelerate things. You need never-ending acceleration. How can I achieve something like this? I can achieve it with this here. I can spin this. You see? I'm spinning it. It's rotating. Rotating. And what happens if you, for example, put the bug on the end of the string and I start rotating it? If I rotate it slowly, it might still be able to hold on this string. If he's smart, he's coming closer and closer to the center where he's spinning, because here the gravity is the least strong. And if you are exactly in this middle point there, you don't have any gravity. You know, the one that is where this rim or wheel or whatever is mounted on.
Of going through life after life after life in an endless series. A process that is represented in this Japanese print of the Wheel of Life. The Buddhist Wheel of Life. This painting was lent to me by Mr. and Mrs. Imamura of Berkeley in California. He used to be the priest of the Berkeley Buddhist Church. And it shows the wheel of stages of existence through which beings pass, clutched by the great demon of impermanence. This is rather an unusual representation of the Wheel of Life. Perhaps some of you have seen these before. They usually have 6 divisions in the central part of the wheel here, and this one happens to have 5, and it's the Chinese-Japanese version of the Buddhist Wheel of Life. These then are the 5 or sometimes 6 realms of existence, through which, as I said, beings pass through their various lives. We could start here, for example. This is the human world. And then next to this is the world of the Devas, D-E-V-A, which we would translate into English as angel. Then this is the world of the animals. This is the world that is sometimes called the hells, only that's not quite a correct term for it. It should be called the world of the purgatories, because in this scheme of the universe, there is no everlasting state. There is no everlasting heaven and there is no everlasting hell. The demon of impermanence clutches the whole thing, and they all terminate. Next to the hells, there is the realm of what are called pretas, P-R-E-T-A. They are frustrated spirits, sometimes shown with very large stomachs and very tiny mouths, enormous appetite, but very small means of satisfying it. And the idea is, you see, that in the course of his development, the individual goes through life after life. If he does well, he ascends towards the heavens. If he does ill, he descends to the hells. Or he may fall from the human state to the animal state, or fall from the human state to the state of the ghosts. But the point that has to be remembered in the Buddhist idea of transmigration or reincarnation is that you can never stop anywhere. You may ascend to heaven, but what goes up must eventually come down. You may descend to hell, but what goes down must eventually come up. And so one goes on and on, moving through these various worlds until, in Buddhist ideas, you become sufficiently awakened to become a Buddha, one who is released from the wheel, and who does not fall anymore into the sequence of rebirths, but enters the eternal state of nirvana.
With this method, you achieve a permanent, maybe perfectly balanced rotation. You are creating gravity and probably also give this time. Now here comes the interesting thing. Because they made this experiment with their atom clocks, and they even tell us the more far away you are from Earth, from the ground here, okay, this is the end of the string, the more far away you are, the more high you go, the more fast time passes by.
Say we've got a tall building, like really tall. It's poking out into space. On the ground floor, there's a photon launcher. It sends out a photon every second. On the top floor, there's a photon timer. It receives the photons and measures the time between them. We'd expect the photon timer to receive a photon every second. But that's not what happens. The photon timer actually receives a photon every 1.00000000001 seconds. That means clocks on the top floor of a building tick just a tiny bit faster than clocks on the ground floor.
So you see, I'm a creator and I can create gravity and probably also time for a possible living bacteria in here. And time also has to do with size, and therefore we will probably have to dive more inside the scale dimension.
It is, of course, well known that careless talk costs lives, but the full scale of the problem is not always appreciated. For instance, at the very moment that Arthur Dent said, "I wouldn't want to go anywhere without my wonderful towel," a freak wormhole opened up in the fabric of the space-time continuum and carried his words far, far back in time across almost infinite reaches of space to a distant galaxy where strange and warlike beings were poised on the brink of frightful interstellar battle. The two opposing leaders, resplendent in their black jeweled battle shorts, were meeting for the last time when a dreadful silence fell, and at that very moment, the words, "I wouldn't want to go anywhere without my wonderful towel," drifted across the conference table. Unfortunately, in their native tongue, this was the most appalling insult imaginable, so the two opposing battle fleets decided to settle their few remaining differences in order to launch a joint attack on our galaxy, now positively identified as the source of the offending remark. For thousands of years, the mighty starships tore across the empty wastes of space and finally dived screaming onto the planet Earth, where, due to a terrible miscalculation of scale, the entire battle fleet was accidentally swallowed by a small dog. Those who study the complex interplay of cause and effect in the history of the universe say that this sort of thing is going on all the time, time.